Hello everyone, it's your backyard gardener, and today we are going to talk about growing tomato plants. And this is for the beginner or the intermediate gardeners. Thank you guys so much for coming in. I appreciate you. What I am going to do is allow a few more people to come in and live stream. So please bear with me as that happens. Takes them a second to get in because they have to go through some of the ads to get in. But I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. It's beautiful here in Michigan Zone 6B. I think we're like 78 degrees for the past 2 days. So I've really been enjoying that. Been able to get a lot of plants in the ground. Angela Garden says, hello, how are you? Melanie, the moderator, hello, how are you? Thank you so much for coming in, guys. I appreciate you. As always, I am trying to get set up. And it's just a thing that you go through when you go live. It takes a little minute to get everything set up the way you want to. But today's topic is growing tomatoes. Mikey Flo, hello, how are you? I haven't seen you in a while. I hope everything is okay with you and your family. Thank you for coming in. I truly appreciate you. How the garden, hello, how are you? Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate you as well. We're going to get started since we got a couple of people in here. Today we're going to talk about some tomatoes, just some do's and some don'ts. We're not going to get too deep into it because I'm not going to be on here very long, but tomatoes for beginners and even intermediate gardeners can be a little bit challenging at times. This year I'm growing more tomatoes than I ever have. And the reason for that is because I want to taste different varieties and I want to do different things with them. Short bus pull up is, I think that's who I saw. I was looking at your icon. Hello, how are you? Thank you for being here. Yes. Thank you for being here, Short Bus. I really appreciate your support. With tomatoes and the different varieties that I'm growing this year, my tried and true is what I grow every year will be my beefsteak and my Better Boys. And my cherry tomatoes because my grandson absolutely loved those. But this year, I'm going over to beefsteak, Better Boys, Better Girls, and I'm also going to try to do the Romas, San Manzanos, and I think a couple of more that I did. So I'm growing a lot of not a lot, but more than usual, different varieties of tomatoes this year. I got the Mortgage Lifter, and I think I have Cherokee Purple, I think it's called. I'm not sure, but I got that one as well. So yeah, this year I'm doing a little bit more tomatoes. I want to hopefully have a good harvest where I can different sauces. I want to do Barefoot Gardener. Hello, how are you? Thank you so much for coming in. Missy, thank you for coming in. I appreciate you guys. So I wanted to do a little tomato, and it's funny that Barefruit is in here because last year Barefruit had grew a bunch of different varieties of tomatoes, and I mean they absolutely look delicious, and I think that's might been some of what stamped me like, you know what, I want to try some different varieties of tomatoes in my garden this year. But like I said, tomatoes can be a little challenging. It can be a little intimidating. Garden of Eden, hello. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. So we're going to go across a couple of do's and don'ts that you might want to keep in mind. when growing your tomatoes. If you haven't smashed the like button, guys, please smash the like button for the host. And let's get right into it. Let's start with some don'ts. Buying plants that already have fruits on them. You know how you go to the nursery and the plant already has flowers and some might even already have fruits? Well, in your mind, you're like, okay, I'm going to get this plant because I know that this plant is going to give me a jump start. It's already ready. I don't have anything to do. That's not the best thing to do, to buy those plants, because once you uproot that plant from that pot and put it into another pot, you're disturbing the roots naturally. And if it's already flowered and fruit, that means that that energy of that root had already went to the flowers and the fruit from the original pot. So now that you're going to disturb it, it can't concentrate on establishing roots in the final pot that you uppotted it to. Does that make any type of sense? So you never want to go to a nursery and buy a tomato plant that already has fruit or flowers on them. Try to avoid that if possible, so that you can get that plant home, put it down in the pot, and let it establish its roots and get acclimated to the new soil, the new spread of area and pot before it starts to flower and fruit. So that's one of the don'ts that you want to do with the tomatoes. Do's: pinch your plant. If you even pinch off the very first flower that comes out, all of that, I know it sounds ridiculous. Like, why would I pinch off my flowers? I want to buy my plants, but it actually will encourage more flowers to come out, to give you a greater harvest, to give you more fruit on your plant. One of the number one mistakes that we make with growing tomatoes and peppers is that we oftentimes will have a whole bunch of leaves and maybe one or two tomatoes. We want to have more tomatoes than leaves, because that's what we're going to eat. That's the fruit that we're going to eat. So pinching that off, it does not stop the production of your plant. It actually encourages it. So just, that very first one, you see, pinch it off. Or pinch your plant back and it'll start to bushing out more. It lets you want it upright, or you want a bushy plant where you have more flowers on the stems. So that's the do. You do pinch your plant. Another don't: over fertilizing your plants. A lot of times we think nitrogen is the cure all to get our plants big. That's true, but it's not the cure all to get you fruit. Sometimes we can over fertilize our tomato plants and our pepper plants, where it actually continue to have vigorous growth in leaves, but not vigorous growth in fruit, because there's more nitrogen in the soil. You put more nitrogen in the soil than you have put phosphorus and potassium in the soil. And those things are needed just as important as nitrogen. So with that liquid fertilizer, the fishy motion, you have to be careful. I love the fishy motion, but you have to use it properly. It can be good to jumpstart certain things. It's a nice liquid feed, foliar feed, but you don't want to keep putting that on your plant, because what's going to happen with your tomatoes is you're going to get a big, beautiful plant, no doubt, with a lot of green. You're just not going to have tomatoes on it. So be very careful with the nitrogen. A do is add a bit of Epsom salt. I didn't bring the bag in here. I have some penitent Epsom salt that I use in my garden. I'm gonna answer you in 1 second. I have some Pennington Epsom salt that I use in my garden, and it's for plants. Period. I don't use the Epsom salt that we soak our body in. Um, I use the one that's made for plants. So the question in the chat is, and thank you for highlighting my name because last week I forgot to answer a few questions because I didn't see them. The question is, how often do you use fish fertilizer? For me, I use fish fertilizer when I see that my plant look like it's lacking on the nutrients of nitrogen. If my plant looking like it's getting a little yellow, it's not looking nice, deep green, then I'll use some fish fertilizer. If I'm trying to get my plant to a certain size quickly and then cut it off where my fruit set will come in, I'll use the plant fertilizer. If you're growing, for example, the watermelons, the sugar babies, I use a lot of the fish fertilizer to get my vines to be very strong and to start growing out. But at a certain point, I cut it off because I want my fruit now. My vines is 4 feet long. They're good and they're healthy. So I only use the fish fertilizer when my plants look like it need it. It won't um, hurt it, but it will give you more of a leafy growth opposed to a um, fruit production. So that's where you have to be careful with the fish fertilizer. It's like it's like a fixer for when your plants start to yellow or when your plants are just not looking strong. Give it some nitrogen, feed it some nitrogen. So that's when I use it. When my plants look like they need it. And I'll go through the regular size bottle with my garden, because you're only using like a cap full, I believe, a tablespoon per gallon of water, and I'll water it. And you have to give it time to work. It works pretty fast. Give it a couple of days, and your leaves start to green up from that maybe light green stage to a deep green stage. Then you know you've hit it just enough. Thank you, Ms. Farola, for being here. Food Forest Permaculture. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. I love the fish fertilizer also. It's really good. Matter of fact, I need to buy some for this year. I still have some left, but I don't think it's going to carry me through the rest of the year. Uh, Benson, hello. Thank you so much for being here. I'm glad that you caught me live. Thank you. Where did we leave off? So add a bit of Epsom salt. That won't help. It won't hurt your tomato plant. It'll actually help your tomato plant and it'll keep it healthy throughout the growing season. But I recommend you use the Epsom salt made for plants and not just a bottle of Epsom salt. Now, some people just go get a milk cart of Epsom salt out the dollar store, and it might work for them, but I have to recommend things that are made specifically for plants. So, and that's what I use, which is by Pennington. I believe Epsom salt, bag of Epsom salt. And I meant to bring it in here and did not bring it in here. So forgive me for that. A do. When planting your starts, you want to plant them with a tomato. You can plant a tomato. If this is the top of your soil and this is your plant, you can actually plant, and this is the base of your plant, you can actually plant that plant all the way down to your top leaves by pinching off all those leaves, and you can put it all the way down in that soil. Because with those tomato plants, you're able to, you see those little hairs on the side? All those are their roots. So when you dig that plant a little bit lower, that's the roots that's going to come off that plant. And what that does, it just gives you a more stronger root system, which we all know with a stronger root system, that calls for stronger plants. Diva Jones 03, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. Pandy Hair Care, thank you for coming in. I truly appreciate you. And Nicole, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I hope I'm not missing anybody. I don't want to. And if I did, it's because I just didn't see you. So with tomatoes, it can be a little tricky. A lot of us, oh, well, that's pretty easy to grow. They are easy to grow, but you want to get the full fruit production from it. And I think burying that plant a little bit lower and getting a better root system on that plant will help out your plant a whole lot more better than opposed to not burying your plant or having a smaller root ball. So remember, you can bury it. Actually, with a tomato plant, I've seen people, several people, who will take that plant and they will lay it down in the soil and have that one little stem sticking up because it's going to reach for the light and cover all of that stem up. Remember, chop the leaves off. And that plant will grow up and you got all this root system on the plants. Remember, the roots is everything to your plants. That's the bone and vein of your plant. So remember that. Let's see. We did the Epsom salt. Don't. We're going to do a don't. Don't water your tomato plant from above. If this is your plant and this is your watering can, try not to water your leaves. Try to water that soil. And when you water the soil, because a lot of us got our little wand, or some of us may have our little watering pitcher. I'm looking around because I'm trying to grab things. Watering pitcher. You want to kind of water it a little slow. Why? Because you don't want the soil of your container or of the ground to splash back up on your stem or your leaves. And the reason for that is because that will promote disease in your tomato plant. So how can we prevent that? That's pretty hard. Everybody don't have a drip irrigation system. Everybody don't have a soaker hose. We just want to water the plant and keep it moving. I got you. I feel you on that. And that's how I do a lot of times. I water my plant and I keep it moving. Sometimes I try to be gentle, but on those 98-degree days and you're trying to beat it before the sun come out on your head, you're trying to hurry up. What you can do is one of the do's. Mulch your plant. Get you some wood chips or get you some type of material around the bottom of your plant. That way, when you water the plant, there's no soil popping back up, splashing back up on your stem or your leaves. It's covered. So mulch your plant. And that also helps with keeping the moisture inside your container or keeping your plants moist inside your raised bed. So covering your plants and mulching them, the tomatoes, I highly, highly recommend that as well for those very two important reasons. Okay. Let's see. Do we have anybody coming? Let me see if there are any questions before I continue on. Right. Okay. All right. So we talked about the do, which was mulching the plant, and we said the reasons for that was to stop the disease from transferring in the soil, splashing up on your stem and leaves, which would cause diseases. And it'll also help maintain moisture in your raised bed or in your container. So that is a do. Another do is stake your plant up. If you don't stake your plant up, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, it will affect the yield that you get from that plant. if your plant is leaning over, I just don't think that that plant can be as productive as it should be. And I'm going to tell you that because last year I grew the cherry tomatoes, and I just put it in the pot. I'm rushing, I'm hurrying up. I got a lot of cherry tomatoes from it, but I could have got a lot more if I had taken the time to use some type of trellis or some type of cage or some type of bamboo to stand that plant up so all leaves can just be out and the fruit can just come out and do what it do. And I lost a lot of the fruit because by it leaning over, because once those tomato plants grow, they grow pretty fast. Once they start growing, you want to be on top of it before it get to taking off, because if you don't, you'll look up, come outside, that thing got so big, and you don't you don't know the heads or tails of how to start staking it up or even wanting to stake it up. So stake up your tomato plants. I highly recommend that, and that will help with the production, and it also help with eliminating diseases as well. Okay, let me see. Miss Terrell, hello, how are you? Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Let's see. So we're going to stake up that tomato plant. Another thing is to know the type of plant that you have. Do you have a determinate or indeterminate plant? There is a difference in types of plants that you have. Determinate type of plants may stop growing and producing fruit whenever it wants to. With an indeterminate plant, it'll continue to produce fruit as long as the weather is nice, as long as it's being fed, as long as everything is going on. So definitely want to know what type of plant that you have, if it's a determinate or indeterminate. Miss AK910, I don't see you. I see someone speaking to you. Thank you so much for being here. Guys, Miss AK910, this particular channel has been around my channel for a very long time, almost the beginning of the time. I think they can remember when I was growing cucumbers out of a half 55-gallon drum back in the day, sitting on a little pallet. I had just like a 4x4 growing area. So thank you for coming in, Miss AK910. I appreciate that. Lisa Williams, hello. How are you? Welcome. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. So that's another do is knowing the type of plant that you have. Determinate and indeterminate. That's very important. Okay? Don't stress because you got too many tomatoes. Too many tomatoes can be a good thing. If you don't know what to do, you got all these to be like, oh my God, there's so many tomatoes. That's a good thing for me. Think about the things that you can do with those tomatoes right before they're getting ripe. I like fried green tomatoes. That's why I grow Better Boys, because they're the perfect size, smooth tomatoes. I'll slice them and I'll batter them and I'll fry them, and that's how I like my green tomatoes. Don't even turn red. I don't allow them. Not the Better Boy variety. I grab them off and fry them up. So definitely. Crystal Pets and Plants, hello. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. So definitely don't stress about that. That's a good thing. Also, you can make pizza sauce. Go start getting your recipes. Your pizza sauce, start getting your recipes on your salsa. P. Gardner is helping me with my salsa garden, and I'm gonna be reaching out to her like, okay, I got everything I need, because I never made it myself, but I like Mrs. Wedger's salsa mix when you're doing it. So think about different things, and this is a good opportunity to learn how to can, because when you harvest all those tomatoes, You can you some salsa, stick it on the shelf, and you'll have stuff back in the winter that you had harvest from your summer garden. So don't get stressed out because you got too many tomatoes, because that's the goal. And then you always can share your overflow with your neighbors or your family as well. And know the different types of tomatoes, and this is why I'm growing different tomatoes, because knowing the different types of tomatoes and what they're good for. To me, a beefsteak tomato does not do well in my salad, but it does do well on a sandwich. To me, a better boy, I don't really like it in my salad, but it does do well fried up. To me, um, San Manzanos, Romas, cherry tomatoes, those do really well in my salad. I'll chop them up and I'll put some vinaigrette dressing on them. Matter of fact, I'll just eat them by themselves with, a little salt and pepper and vinaigrette. So we want tomatoes and we want them healthy. Now, blossom end rot is a problem. Blossom end rot is a problem because these are things that can cause us to feel like we're failing. Now, if you see signs of blossom end rot, you have to take care of that. That's a calcium deficiency. And that's where a lot of people say, well, I put eggshells and I put this and I put that in my plant, because they feel that that is what helps builds the calcium up. So if you see blossom end rot, you still have time to correct that. You might have it on that one plant, but you still have time. Don't throw the whole plant away and say, oh, no. You have time to correct it. You can't correct it on that particular piece of fruit, but for the future fruit that's coming in, you can correct that. And blossom end rot also exists in your bell peppers. So you treat your tomato plants, you treat your bell peppers as well, because both of those can get blossom end rot. So that's all that I have. I thank everyone for coming in. I appreciate it. I am starting to get my lives down to a nice little 30 minutes, 45 at the max. I don't want to stay on too long because people do actually come back and watch the content. Zoe, hello, how are you? Thank you for coming in. I hope all is well. I'm glad that you caught me as well. Thank you, AK. I appreciate you. I didn't know you were in Indiana. So your weather is actually just like ours. I appreciate you coming in, Zoe. Thank you so much. Nicole, I appreciate you coming in. Diva, Bear Fruit, I appreciate you. Um, these some of these channels in here are channels from way back in the day when we was shaking the camera, walking around. I appreciate you guys still rocking with me. I really, really, really do. I don't take any of this for granted. I'm thankful for it, and I'm thankful for the opportunity. I haven't been able to watch a lot of people's videos or comment, but I will be over to start watching your videos. And I will be over to try to catch some of you guys to go live. Right now, I'm studying for finals. This is my last week of Master Gardening with MSU, and I'm studying for my final exam. And let me tell you something. I encourage anybody and everybody, whether you're a beginning gardener, intermediate, or advanced, take a Master Gardening course. It is so much that I did not know, and it's so much that I learned from it with taking that course. So this is my last week, and finals is coming up, so I have to do a lot of studying. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you, Miss, so much for that super chat, and I appreciate you as well. So I'm trying, guys, to put out the best information that I can according to how I grow. A lot of times, one of the things I wanted to share with you, Annette, thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. Happy Monday to you. One of the things that I wanted to share with you with going through this Master Gardener course, they tell, and it's a couple of people subscribed to my channel out of my class of 33 people, but you know how the saying was to pour milk on your plants and that'll give them calcium? Um, those are things that we can't, as a master gardener, recommend people to do because that's not factual. And even with the eggshells, we can't even recommend that because that's not uh factual. We have to do things that are wrote in science. Now that's not to say I can't do it, but I can't say, oh, just pour some milk on your plant. And then as a master gardener, they're saying we can't do things. And there was a lot of things that I had to stop doing or try to practice stop doing to continue to get my certification in master gardening. So I just want to give out the best information possible. It's a lot of things that I do in my garden. I use eggshells. I use different things, but I want to give you the best information possible. And I just want to encourage a lot of people that's starting a garden, whether it's because you have time now to do it or because you want to grow your own food, to trial and error. What one might say is not right. If you question it, try it. Grow 2 plants. One plant you use this, the other plant you don't. And just don't let it overwhelm you and stress you out. Do what you can do. Grow what you eat. Again, certain things I don't grow because I don't eat them. I've tried, for example, I don't eat radish. I don't grow radish. I don't have a guava tree because I tried it and I didn't like it. Now, that's not to say that it's not good. That's to say that when I went to the market and got it, I didn't like it. So I don't know if it was ripe, ready, or what. If I was to try that fruit with someone else, I probably would try it again. So you don't like eggplant. Eggplant for me was, I didn't think I liked eggplant, but let me tell you what I do with the eggplant. I like to fry green tomatoes. I slice them up and I batter them just like fried green tomatoes. That's the only way I can eat an eggplant. And they're pretty good. And this is my first year growing eggplant if I can get it in the ground, if I can get it potted up, because I still got stuff out there I have not potted up. I went a little bit harder this year than I ever have. J3GS Farms, hello. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. I went a little bit harder this year. Okay, I got a question. I'm sorry, Angela. Let me go back and see your question. My Master Gardener course was 17 weeks. It all depends on your state. Mine was 17 weeks, and I had to pay for my course. It was at Eastern Michigan University. So I've heard other people say that their Master Gardener course wasn't that long. So it depends on your state. Every state have them. So just reach out to your extension office and find out when the Master Gardener course is, and see what you have to go through. Like I said, some people was 7 weeks. Mine was 17. That was really hard for me to be dedicated every Tuesday for 4 hours sitting in a class. And then when the pandemic happened, we started doing our class on Zoom, which was, in my mind, okay, I don't have to travel all the way out there to Eastern Michigan. I can just do it on Zoom in the comforts of my own home. But sitting here for 4 hours, some days that was rough. It was real rough for me. And you have to keep your camera on to be counted in the class. So yeah, it all depends on your state, but check it out. I highly recommend everybody to take that class. I'm not a certified master gardener yet until I do my 40 hours of volunteer service. Once I do my 40 hours, then I'll get my certificate for that. Will it make me a better gardener? It's just going to make me a more knowledgeable about things. Will I grow? Will I have failures in my garden? Yep. I still have failures. I'll still make mistakes. Don't let the paper fool you, but there was a reason why I wanted to get that certification, and I'll share that with you all later as I reach out toward that journey. It's the reason why I needed that. So you've been having troubles with store-bought plants. What do you mean, Zoe? Guys, I went to I have found this place. Hey, Essie, how you doing? Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you being here. Guys, let me tell you, I went to Ace Hardware. I don't know if you all have one in your state, but we have Ace Hardware. And it was recommended for me to go there to start getting the soil for my trees. And the soil that they had for my trees was sandy loam mix, just different. And the trees really responded to the soil. And the soil was not that cheap. It wasn't that expensive. So I'm bagging it up. I'm getting it. I'm doing my different mixes with the soil. Within a month, I went back to get some more soil. None. I called yesterday to try to get some soil from another one. Within 20-mile radius, all the Ace Hardwares have no more soil. That stuff ran out. Myers here, no soil. Everybody have that Miracle Grow potting mix and potting soil, but the soil shortage has been real here. Let me see. Boy, we have really been running out of soil. And I don't know if that has something to do with shipment or everything that's going on. Yes, it's a black beauty eggplant that I'm growing. And I saw another question from Zoe. You don't like the black beauty? They're a little bitter. Okay. Let's see. I think I missed the question. I'm sorry, Zoe. I seen it and I missed it. And I'm trying to find it back again. And Diva, the only reason why I grew the black beauty, because I don't know a lot about eggplants. This is my first time. The only reason why I grew the black beauty, because that was the big one that I pretty much see in the stores, and that was the one that I would use to slice up and fry like I do my fried green tomatoes. But I see the little smaller ones. I don't know the name of them, but I wouldn't even know what to do with them. How do you prepare them? Because I probably wouldn't eat it if it wasn't prepared like a green tomato. Okay, they won't grow. They keep dying, and my seedlings planted from seeds myself. Where did you get your seeds from, Zoe? Did they ever take off? Are they viable seeds? So those are some things that you have to ask. Actually, all the seeds that I've gotten, and even the ones that were sent to me were really good seeds. They took off. A lot of people sent me seeds this year, and they really took off. But what happened with a lot of them is, do you know if it's Okay, I read that one. Okay, thank you. Yeah, a lot of the seeds that I had, they took off. Now I was growing some of these bunching onions inside, starting them to take them outside. Those burpee, I believe, square cells. I don't like them. Like maybe I wasn't attentive enough because they kept drying out real quick. I kept them out of my tent, which I sold yesterday, and I'm so thankful I got rid of my tent. But even under the light, they kept drying out. So I think I'm gonna try to direct sow these bunching onions. Um, but some things I did learn this year, starting them off, even with my collards, I started them off inside. I think the Georgia collards would be better to direct sow outside. I did start them inside and they did well, but you got to keep watering and keep remembering to water them, and that was a lot for me. And I need a better system. No, not my seeds. They are growing well. It's the store-bought plants. Oh, aren't doing well. I purchased store-bought plants from Home Depot. Oh, really? Wow. I don't know. I didn't purchase any store-bought plants from Home Depot this year. Um, I did yesterday go pick up a tomato plant from Lowe's this year, which was a better girl, I believe. But I didn't really do any. Anybody else had any experience with Home Depot plants? I didn't do too much with Home Depot this year as far as plants or seeds. I didn't buy anything from them. The only thing I got from Home Depot this year was my wood to do all that building. I didn't really do a lot of soil because I found that even with Home Depot and their soil, to me, Lowe's just have a better um, selection of even soil for what you're trying to do, whether it's citrus, whether it's fruit trees, or whether it's spruce type trees. They have a better selection of soil. It's like Home Depot is really getting just routine with everything. They're not stepping out of the box in their garden department as far as soil. So I didn't purchase anything from them several times. You would be shocked to how much Bonnie feeds those plants, like almost daily, because they know that they get more stored, neglect them. Yeah, that could be, you right about that, Diva, because a lot of times, even when those plants come in, Home Depot is not the one that's watering those plants. It's actually the vendors that water them. And if those vendors is not coming in on a regular pace to take care of their stuff, they die. I just feel like all of them, Home Depot, Lowe's, and Menards, neglect their stuff. They really do. And that's why at the end of the season, you can get those clearance. And it just be such a waste because it's so much stuff. Like now, Lowe's have stuff on clearance. How do you have stuff on clearance at the beginning of the season? I think it's their rhododendron plants and stuff are on season, on clearance. I looked at some of their fruit trees, which I dare not buy. I'm done with the buying the fruit trees at Lowe's, Home Depot, or Menards. They don't favor for me. But when I went over there to buy the tomato plant, I looked over at their fruit trees. They're all blown over, knocked over, soil knocked out of them, and nobody came out to pick them up or even tend to them. So a lot of the stuff was root bound. You can see the roots coming above the soil. So I don't even fool with them. I think there's some type of also what I discovered at Home Depot and Lowe's yesterday when I was getting my wood to build my trellis out there for the orchard. I discovered that there's no help. It's no help. Like, and their wood is bold. It's not quality. It's not stout. It's not planked right. So I'm just really having a hard time with Home Depot altogether, all across the board right now, and Lowe's and Lowe's is looking a little bit better than Home Depot and Menards right now. I had a bad experience in Menards. Um, Actually, it wasn't my experience. It was somebody else's, but I just was like, wow, management is horrible. So I'm not sure. Yeah, right now Lowe's is looking real good, and actually they're the ones that are kind of suffering financially. Even when the pandemic happened, you could go straight in Lowe's. With Home Depot, you had to wait outside. Only 25 people in the store. You know, it just was horrible, and they don't have a lot of employees working in there, so they're hiring. All of them are hiring, but it's hard to find. I shouldn't have to go through 50 2x4s just to get 6 2x4s. That's how bad they wood was. So that's it, guys. That's all I got. I appreciate you all coming in and hanging out with me, all 32. If you haven't smashed the like button, please smash the like button for me. I appreciate it on your way out. It's good to see everybody. Keep growing. I'm going to try to put out a video this week. Once I get through with all this final stuff, I can focus a little more on putting out more videos. I'm just the type of person, if I'm gonna put a video out, I just wanted to have some girth behind it. I don't just want to put it out just to say I did that video. So you might get some 2-minute videos, but it'll be right to the point. And thank all my new subscribers for coming in. I appreciate you. Enjoy your day, guys, and happy gardening, everybody.